Welcome to Living a Triggered Life podcast with Keith
and Roxann, presented by The Triggered Project.
Find out more information about The Triggered Project, go to www.triggered1.com.
What's up, Roxann?
What's up with you, yo?
Not much. Chilling. Doing what I do.
Just following up from last time. How are you, Keith?
Wow, sister. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. After the 27th podcast, asking me how I'm doing today.
You just gotta be jerky about it, don't you?
I'm just being real, like we always are being real. I'm okay. I mean, I'm still having some head pain today, and I'm kind of a little grumpy sometimes, a little, you could say, but I'm also blessed at the same time. So, it's a lot all wrapped up into one. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, what's up with you? How are you?
I'm good. All good in the hood.
Okay. All good in the Roxy hood?
Yeah, Roxy hood.
Okay. All good in the Roxy hood. All right. I like that. I like that hat you're wearing too, by the way.
This hat. Yeah, this hat is sort of bomb. It is a Keith Maskell special. And
That's me, by the way.
We recently had a conversation about this, didn't we? I play around too, and I call it arts and crafts. And I was asking you about what's with the arts and crafts. And you had a very interesting answer for me. Care to share with everybody else?
Girl, I don't remember what I said. I don't remember at all. I don't remember anything. And just so you know, Roxann Maskell is wearing The Triggered Project hat right now with the hat and logo. You can go to www.triggered1 as the number1.com. Check it out. What did I say?
You said that as you have been sick and often don't feel well and often don't feel... Keith, stop interrupting me. I'm trying to get something out.
Go ahead.
Not feeling well, that creating the... I keep calling it arts and crafts. What do you call it? The merch. That's right.
Custom merch.
Custom merch for Triggered Project. You said to me that that's really helpful and it's a good way for you to self-care for yourself, to care for yourself. Right. It brings you happiness. You feel excited about it. You think about like what you're going to do next, and like it's your creative side to you, and you just really like to do it, and it distracts you from things that you rather not think about, like your head hurting every day.
Right. Wow, that was well said by me.
Oh, brother.
No, but I mean, it's true. But so, Roxann, what are we talking about today?
I just said what we were talking about. Were you listening?
What are we talking about today?
Oh, my God. You didn't hear me? I just did a whole explanation for you and our listening audience. And in about 3 minutes later, you're asking me what we're talking about again. What's up with that?
Roxann, what are we talking about today?
What is going on? Are we in a Twilight Zone right now?
Roxann, what are we talking about today?
Self-care, Keith. Okay. Self-care, Keith.
All right.
Self-care.
I only needed it once. Thank you.
You asked me the question like 7 times.
Mm-hmm.
Why?
It was part of my self-care. I just needed to be clear about it. So, Roxann, what do you do in terms of your self-care? Just like before you had talked about how you had a sad weekend and, you had... some folks had passed away and you had to deal with the family and things like that. So what do you do to, that helps with self-care?
Well, it depends on what's happened. But talking about people passing, I just sort of retreat a little bit into myself and process and think about and just do things that I really like to do that sort of help me escape.
Mm-hmm. So do you feel like you sit with it?
Sit with
the feelings that you had to... you had to watch this family go through, or of, whether or not you had interaction with the patient and things like that. And, where does this happen? Because, we don't know where people are, whether or not folks are, this is their first time listening or not. Can you say a little bit about?
I work in a medical facility, inpatient. And what we talked about before is sometimes my job is to provide emotional support to family members or loved ones to someone that is critically ill.
Right.
And sometimes they don't make it.
Right.
So you're asking me about, am I sitting with people? Am I sitting with the feelings?
Do you sit with the emotion? Like, what do you do? Like, what do you do to get it, to get it out of your system, so to speak, or get it off you?
Well, first, I just feel like I need to disconnect a little bit from the world. and just sort of be isolated a little. Do I sit with it? Sometimes it depends on what the situation is, but my role is not to take on people's grief. My role is to support them through that grief. So sometimes I'm just sad that that happened to them. And sometimes I just need time to sit and process seeing people in grief, like the worst. Grief. But sometimes I'll take on the emotion, but not all the time. I've gotten much better over the years, not taking on somebody's emotion. I just sort of bear witness to it.
Okay. So you don't necessarily have a process, so to speak.
Of course I do.
But that's what I just asked you. Like, what do you do? So you just retreat in yourself, chill.
Well, you used the recent example of my work at the hospital. I have different ways of managing my self-care depending on the situation and where I am. Sometimes I activate. Sometimes I want to be an advocate in action and help people understand how to use a system to exercise their rights. I do a lot of different things, but do I have a self-care plan? Absolutely. Am I always good at it? Not always, but you know.
Why don't you think you're good at it?
Because sometimes when you feel a little drained or depleted, you just kind of need to regroup. So I'm not putting into action all the other things that are in my self-care plan. Not right away, I mean.
Right. Do you feel like you like a lot of times that it takes you a lot longer to regroup than you did before? The fact that, you've been doing this work for a little while? You feel like you do more of kind of regrouping than executing the plan that you laid out for yourself?
I understood the question. It's a journey. Self-care plans, implementing them, creating them, being action-orientated, doing it, not doing it. It's a journey. So now that I understand from my training, like what it is, I don't think I hold on to it as much.
Okay.
Depends on how well I implement my self-care plan.
Right. And that's what you want to talk about. What is the, example of a, self-care plan?
Sometimes I want to go to the movies. Sometimes I want to cook because I feel very accomplished when I cook, especially if it tastes good. Sometimes I just want to be out in the world, in the community. I want to do something that I feel inspired by. Sometimes I just want to be home and not bothered, or sometimes I just do other work that I need to do, distract my mind. Sometimes I exercise. Sometimes I just want to be out in nature and enjoy nature. I listen to music, work out, be with people that I enjoy being around, doing things for other people sometimes, like little things, spending time with my godchildren,
right,
going to see my family. I do a lot of different things, and sometimes I get myself caught up in a place where I'm like, I want to do this way. And sometimes you'll ask me, well, why you want to do it like that? And that's just what I feel like doing. Like we talked recently about, I want to do a road trip. And you're like, well, why do you want to drive? I just feel like driving. Just want to drive. I like the experience of it. So it's my self-care. I have had self-care plans for a long time, but they evolve every year. And I check in with them every year because I change as a person. I learn to do different things. I learn about different things.
Right.
So.
Do you feel like that some of the self-care is not always about what you want to do, but what you should do? No,
I don't put those kind of restrictions on it. I don't think restrictions are beneficial.
Or what's best for you.
That's still a restriction, yo.
Why is it?
All you did was change a word.
Why is it?
Things you should do.
Well, here's
versus
the thing.
What's best for you.
Well, but here's the thing. If things aren't working, or maybe that's something that you may not even be able to know or whatever. You know what I mean? Because that's the hardest thing. We're going through self-care and we're trying to do the best we can. And sometimes we know that there's certain things that.
Do you do everything that's best for you, sir?
Of course not.
Okay.
I don't do, but it's a different...
Why are you asking me that question?
I can ask you the question because, that's what I'm doing. We're in a conversation, so I'm asking you the question. Do I do everything? No.
Nobody does.
Nobody does everything. Nobody does.
Does anybody do what's best for them? No. But I wouldn't have a job if they did.
Well, that's true. That's true. People keep not doing what they're supposed to do, and, you're able to have a job.
Job security.
Right. But there's certain, still, there may be 10 things that we know, what we know as people that we should do. And sometimes there's, we'll only do one of them. but there's other times we have choices to make, and we try to do at least like 8 or 9 of those things.
But who gets to judge what's best for what's the best thing to do? That's the thing. Like, that's where we all get tripped up.
Well, I think what it is experiences, right? And we know what can work for us at certain times, and sometimes things get in the way and we don't do them. But we know what works. We know in our own hearts what works. It's just whether or not we get caught up in, do I want to, and stuff like that. And, it's like, yeah, we can make it happen for ourselves. There's no question about it. You know what I mean? I think it's just all our outlook.
Why don't you talk about your self-care plan?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, my self-care plan is pretty simple, pretty easy. I also noticed that you didn't have me on your self-care plan, which I thought was incredibly interesting.
It was not an exhaustive list, sir.
I'm just saying, I just didn't make the list.
No, there is no list.
I didn't make the plan. I'm just saying, all the things that you talked about, I didn't make the plan. That's okay. I mean, you know what I mean? I'm not salty about it. I mean, You don't know if you made the list or not. I didn't make the list. You didn't talk about it. I'm talking about everything that you talked about. There was no, you know what I mean? Like, there wasn't like, you were like family and stuff or whatever. You were like, and also spending time with you, honey. There was none of that. And that's okay. That's okay. I mean, because I'm a different person and stuff like that. So let me talk about my self-care.
Yeah, why don't you do that?
Let me talk about my self-care.
Why don't you do that?
I think, like I said, like we talked about it already, like, doing some type of trying to be creative in a different way that is going to be mindless in a lot of ways. Something where I feel accomplished, which is some of the merch and some of that stuff really helps. I think it kind of helps because I'm not thinking. I'm thinking, but I'm not thinking. Trying to exercise and, being able to get out and ride my bike is a big one. That's a big one. Something that I definitely are trying to do more. I think that's huge for me. I'm also just having some quiet time, some meditation time, just to not have any thoughts. That's one thing that I've been trying to really practice in doing, and not trying to think all the time, just emptying my head, emptying my thoughts. Not trying to get caught up in the other stuff that I don't have to worry about. You know what I mean? That's another big one that I've just had to practice. The fact that stress is kind of my enemy with my body. And so there's stuff that I just have to be focused on that I need to worry about. There's other things outside of those barriers that I just have to shut off. Sometimes it's difficult, but I can't worry about that stuff. That's too much. It's way too much stuff to be worrying about all the stuff outside of the barriers that I need to put up, and the stuff that's inside. No, that's just too much. Way too much. And that's something that EW has talked to me about in therapy and stuff like that. It's been incredibly helpful when he started to point out that I'm worrying about stuff that I don't need to be worrying about, so to speak. Something I can be aware of, but not something I need to focus on because it's taking away from me being present in the moment. And so big shout out to EW for that. So quiet time. Let me see what else. One thing I haven't done as much is dancing. I haven't danced as much. It's one thing I got to get back to. I really love to dance and stuff like that. It's a great way to take care of myself. And I just haven't really done it. I really just, kind of move when I hear music and stuff like that. I need to do more of that. And, at certain times, just, be able to spend some time with you is also just really good, and just be in the moment and be present with you and, just be able to love you unconditionally without judgment or anything, and try to just give you 100 kisses a day.
What is the without judgment about? Why do you need to say that?
Well, no, that's incredibly important, right? Without judgment. Just the fact that I can love you unconditionally. You know what I mean? Or you may not slap my hand away when I try to touch you or something like that. You know how you get away from me. You know how you get like that sometimes. I'm like, what, girl? I'm just trying to give you a kiss.
I love the way you are expressing yourself and your opinion and your perspective, which is not the whole story of what happens.
What are you talking?
And you are going to get a whole bunch of people in our listening audience to begin to believe your perspective of what our relationship looks like.
Well, look.
I just want to make sure that I acknowledge that. I'm going to let you be where you're at out of respect for you. But
when we do, because we'll probably end up going to do a reality show and stuff like that.
We're not doing no reality show.
Not reality show like that. Like, just have the cameras follow us. Like, I don't need to do anything for the camera. I don't need to do.
No, I don't know. No,
I'm not doing anything for the camera, but one time it's just going to happen. The camera's just going to be there, and we're going to be just ourselves the way we are here, and people know exactly how you are. I'm just saying.
People, what people?
People that have been listening and stuff like that, they know the situation.
Because you calling me out every 5 seconds?
What do you mean? Here's the thing.
You called me out last podcast about how I don't ask you how you doing. This podcast, you calling me out about how I what did you say? I slap your hand away every time you try to talk to me, and then you follow up by saying people are gonna know who you are.
No, I mean I didn't really. That's not really what I. If you want to say call you out, we're just talking about what the truth is.
Call me out.
That wasn't really what it was.
We were talking about what the truth is.
We were talking about how.
What a way to minimize what you're doing.
No, we talked about how you did not have me on your plan, your list.
I didn't say Keith Maskell, no.
Self-care.
I didn't say Keith Maskell.
And that's just the truth. You know what I mean? And you still didn't come back. You still didn't come back and be like, no, honey, of course you... No, you didn't do any of that. You stuck to it. And now that I'm talking about it again, you got something to say. You stood in it. You had your chance to correct and show the sweet side and everything, and you decided not to. That was your choice. That's your choice, boo. That's your truth.
Are you done?
That's your truth. That's your truth. So yeah, being creative, you know, like I think helping people at certain times is... You know, is also some self-care.
And why are you not buying sneakers the way you used to?
Well, I kind of don't need. I mean, I'm not trying to feel the pain of the abuse and some other things that I've been through with the sneakers. Even though they're really connected to the Triggered Project and stuff like that, because I've talked about even in the 1 minute show about sneaker culture and trauma and how it soothed my trauma and stuff like that. It's definitely connected. But I mean, I could get out there and, you know, start buying 1,000 pairs again.
I didn't ask you if you could. I asked you why you haven't.
No, it just doesn't.
Not that we have any more space. It
doesn't. Yeah, I can throw some stuff out actually. Yeah, I just don't want to do that anymore. You know what I mean? I'm just finding some different ways, even though I really love looking at shoes and customs and, you know, all that stuff. I still
Customs?
have that. Custom shoes.
Oh.
Yeah. You know, like I have Triggered sneakers on. I have Triggered Jordan 1s on right now that I have the logo on the back. So yeah, it's just different. You go in some different phases. And also too, financially, I just don't want to go out and buy. I just don't want to go out and just spend all this money on sneakers. Like, I'd rather pay a light bill or something. You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
You know, I'd rather, you know, do something else with it, take you out or something. You know what I mean? Take you out to dinner or something like that. You know,
you can take me out today since you didn't make me.
I'm not sure if that's going to happen because I didn't make it on your list. You know what I mean? Like you were holding on to this thing, the fact that I didn't get to make you, I didn't get to make you oatmeal this morning, and you're like going crazy that even though I brought you a present.
Wait. Can we pause for a second? What is this comment that you just made? Even though you were going crazy, nobody's going crazy.
Look,
why are you choosing that word?
Look,
nobody went crazy.
Look,
it was merely a reminder of what you said you were going to do, and you didn't do it.
That's not how it happened. It happened like you said you were going to make oatmeal for me this morning and you didn't.
That was my voice?
That's exactly what happened.
That was my voice? That was the voice?
That was your voice. You used your lower octave, and that's how it was.
You lie.
Then your head spun around three times and you said Beetlejuice. That's how you came at me.
You're exaggerating.
That's how you came at me. I was like, really?
That's
it's like you giving me the face, the eyes. You giving me everything from the South Bronx. That's what I got.
That's not true.
I got the South Bronx.
None of that is true,
like,
y'all.
Really?
Don't listen to him.
This is how it is.
Making some of this up.
And I mean, the thing about it is, I gave you a special Triggered hoodie today and whatever. You're like, it looks too big. Like you weren't even nice about it. Like you didn't even like. You know what I'm saying?
You asked me if I liked it. I said, yeah. I'm working my way up to liking it. It takes me time.
Right? It's okay. It's like, oh well, you know, Keith really gave me a really nice present this morning. I know we didn't. You know, I wish he made me oatmeal, but you know what? It's just Keith's just so. What happened? Because that was just not the case. But you know what? I'm going to think about taking you out to dinner tonight for sure. But don't think I'm not going to remember I was not on your self-care plan. That's right. She ain't got nothing to say now. I
am not going to try and make it up or anything.
Right.
I did not mention you specifically. I mentioned you in a generic way.
Right.
It is true.
Mm-hmm. Right. The thing about it is you haven't apologized for it. You haven't tried to smooth talk.
Wait. If I tried to smooth talk, then I get called out for that.
Because it's the truth.
But you actually want an apology?
And you know what? You don't have to apologize. It's okay. Because you know what? You know what? To be honest with you, it is your process. And whatever your process is what it is. There's no judgment to what that is because it's your process. You know what I mean? Truthfully. But secretly, I do have a problem with it. With
the exception that you miss that the first thing I do whenever something goes wrong, the very first thing that I do is what, Keith?
I don't know because I didn't make the list.
Okay. You've been listening to Triggered Life. I'm triggered right now. Apparently Keith is too.
You've been listening to Living a Triggered Life podcast with Keith Maskell.
And you know who I am, Roxann Maskell.
You seem to be a little salty right now.
I am, and I'm gonna be.
Really?
Because you acting out of pocket now.
I'm acting out of pocket, and you're talking about oatmeal that I didn't make you that was like 7-8 hours ago. I'm not out of pocket. I'm not out of pocket at all. What do you mean? I'm not out of pocket at all. I mean, we're talking about self-care and the importance of self-care, and it's important for, as we talk about men and going to the doctor and making sure you're taking care of all the stuff.
You didn't even mention that for yourself.
That's incredibly important. Right, we're gonna make sure that we talk about that because it's for men.
Oh, we're gonna make sure
we don't do a good job in terms of taking care of ourselves. I just got
the be quiet sign, y'all.
Right, most definitely. That is incredibly important. Going to the doctor, you know what I mean, and finding the right doctor is incredibly important.
And listening to the doctor.
Exactly, listening to the doctor, but also seeking out your own methods as well. Eastern and Western medicine is incredibly important.
That's gonna be a good podcast. That's gonna be a really good podcast.
That's gonna be really important. So we're going to continue to talk about self-care because it's incredibly important for all of us to do that. But like again, you've been listening to Living a Triggered Life podcast with Keith Maskell
and Roxann Maskell.
And remember, you are no longer surviving, you're thriving.
Thank you for listening to Living a Triggered Life podcast with Keith
and Roxann, presented by The Triggered Project.
To find out more information about The Triggered Project, go to www.triggered1.com. And remember, you're no longer surviving, you're thriving, and you learn that.